All right, so the program is called Hi, Who Are You? Now, who can tell me what this is? Graffiti. An Austin icon. Oh, that's absolutely right. Wow. I wish I had something to give you. I'll give you a taco. All right. So he got it exactly. It is a mural by a man named Daniel Johnston, who, and it's on the drag on 21st in Guadalupe. And it's just, he or she didn't appreciate the artistic talent that it took to draw this iconic frog, actually. So, but there's a story behind it. Now, it is iconic. It's now, you see it in SoCo, you see it on onesies, you see it on purses, you see it on postcards. The hi, how are you thing, it's kind of like the I love you so much on Joe's Coffee. So it's part of street art. And it's actually one of his pieces of art is also in the Whitney Museum. So, and in a category, in a genre of street art. But there's a story behind it, and the story, he talked about it, the story is this man, Daniel Johnston. So we've labeled it as story, and he was is an Austin musician and artist, and he was commissioned by Sound Exchange, which was a record shop that existed at that time. And the guy that owned Sound Exchange asked Daniel to do a mural on the side of his building. And he said he would pay him, this was in the 90s, said he would pay him $100 and all the records that he could carry out in one load. So that was his salary. And so he put the hi, how are you frog on there. But there's a backstory even to that story. And the backstory is this, that Daniel suffered from mental health challenges his entire life. And all of the music, all of his albums, and all of his art is somehow related to that. He speaks about his mental health challenges throughout his music, and this is also something that's related to that, because he decided it was important that people ask other people, how are you? How are you doing? Are you okay? And that you continue, it's not just the hi, how are you, the casual flip thing that we ask everybody, that you, in passing, hi, how are you? Where we don't really want to know. This is a sincere, how are you? How are you doing? Are you okay? And that's why it has become this iconic art thing. And so it's all about that. We now have January 22nd in Austin, unless the state legislature has said that we can no longer have it, a Hi, How Are You Day that draws attention, focuses attention back on Daniel and on the mental health challenges that he faced, and it's a sort of an all-day focus of mental health professionals. So there's a backstory. There's a backstory to the person, and there's a backstory to the art. So who are you? Who are you really? All of us have a bit of a backstory, do we not? We have the professional you. That's the one that stands up in front of Launchpad Job Club and says, here's the kind of work I'm looking for. And that is the part that you show to your interviewers. You hardly ever go into your personal backstory in these sorts of situations. But when you get to know somebody better and you get that backstory, the backstory of who you are is a big chunk of what made you the person that you are today. Many people have a really interesting backstory. Sometimes the more soap opera like it is, the better it is, because there's so much drama involved in your backstory. But everybody has a story. Everybody has a story, and it's that story, that piece of who you are outside of your job, that informs your professional frame of mind, that informs who you are and the kind of work that you choose. So there's always this other side to you as well, and that's what we're going to talk about. So who knows who this guy is? Anybody? Who is he?
He's an entrepreneur. He founded a makeup company or a shampoo company and also a tequila company.
Okay, he became wealthy through Paul Mitchell Cosmetics as a salesperson, and then when Paul Mitchell died, he took over the company himself, and then he also owned Patron. I believe he sold that recently because he has other endeavors as well. And this is his professional side. I've put him on the professional side. And it's unusual to actually see him in a white shirt. He normally wears all black, and he says he does that so that he doesn't have to make any decisions about what to wear every day. And he's done that his whole life. So he's dressed up for his TED Talk, I believe. But here's some other interesting information about him. He is 75 years old now. He started to work at age 9. The family was very poor, and he made and sold Christmas cards door to door when he was 9 years old. Because of his family's poverty, he and his brother were placed in foster care for a while. He was a gang member until one of his teachers said, "You'll never amount to anything unless you get out of the dark side and make something of yourself." He was homeless twice, once with an infant son. He doesn't use a computer, doesn't know how to use a computer, and he may not even have a cell phone. I'm not sure about that. And today he is worth somewhere in the neighborhood of $3 billion. He supports 160 charities, and he has just made the decision to step down from his corporate management activities and devote himself completely to his charitable endeavors. So he's quite an interesting guy. His backstory is what made him. And when you really look at how that has informed his career, it's quite amazing. He does not, as I said, use a computer. His sales success has all been face-to-face. He would go to every single beauty shop that used Paul Mitchell Cosmetics, and he would just shake their hand and say, "I just want to thank you for using our products, for selling our products. I want you to know how much the company appreciates that." It was all on this relationship building. And it's part of what he learned while he was going through such hard times himself, how important that one-on-one relationship part is. And then he was able to, because he had a really good mind and a really good business sense, he was able to continually parlay his natural ability eventually into more and more money. So here's your tribe. We had a speaker not long ago who talked about tribes and how your tribe that you're in is something that you can capitalize on when you look for a job, because you have lots of different tribes, and each one of your tribes can be a good contact for you. This is a picture that I got from a California company where it says, "Here's our staff." You know, in some cases on the careers page, they'll have a picture like this, everybody wearing the company T-shirt, and it's like, here's our current tribe, or here's our people. So those of you who have been working for a long time, you have your former employees are part of your tribe, and one of the things that you're going to always do when you're looking for a job is to go onto LinkedIn and try to find the people with whom you used to work and find out where are they working now, and can you tap into that relationship and perhaps get a job where they are. You're going to use that tribal connection. But there are tribes for people that went to the same school that you attended. There are tribes from your religious organization that you attend. So there's lots of these different tribes. There are tribes of soccer moms or soccer parents and all of those sorts of things. There are tribes for the organizations that you participate in. I have a brother who's a rock climber and a mountain climber, and he has a climbing group called the Sloths. And so that's his tribe. That's a huge tribe that he's leveraged those connections with. So anyway, you have your former tribe and that you can tap into. And then this is your current tribe. I should have just gotten a picture of Launchpad Job Club, but I didn't want to put your photos up here on YouTube without your permission. So this is a networking group of nameless job seekers. So your job seeking community is now a new tribe for you. And you may not look at it as such. You may think, well, how can unemployed people even help me? But everybody, look at where people have worked. Crystal said she's willing to help you with her new job because she feels, even though this is her first meeting to come to, she came to one of our satellite classes and connected with us then, and now she already feels a part of this tribe and is ready to help. So you're going to connect with people, but in what way? How are you going to network with these people? Here's how lots of people connect. They go to a big networking meeting and they come home with a big old fistful of business cards of people that they don't know and sometimes don't remember. And they think, okay, well I've got these contacts, but they're useless because you haven't really connected. You just have a bit of contact information that then you have to go back and expand on. You have to nurture that initial toehold of a connection. So you have to go back and further connect. These days, we have a little bit more of a connection. We have a face. So now we have LinkedIn connections that are equally tenuous. You connect with people sometimes on LinkedIn that you don't know and that you don't follow up with. And so they're useless as connections. The thread between you and these people is so thin that you can hardly utilize it. But you have to grow it. You have to make it stronger. You have to nurture those tiny little connections that you make. So you have an opportunity to get to know these people that are in your new tribe and to spend time with them. It's very hard sometimes when people are working to get them to sit down with you for a cup of coffee and really get to know them, to have a legitimate conversation as to who are you, how are you, what's your backstory. But I got to tell you, the people in this organization that I have met are amazingly interesting. Some of them have an amazing backstory, and you should get to know as many new people here as you possibly can. Will they all lead to a business connection, to a reference, to a referral? No, but you are going to take an advantage of this opportunity to create a unique relationship with really, really interesting people. So I'd like to talk to you first about Nancy. Now, lots of you who have gone through my LinkedIn job scan class before know about Nancy already because I use her as an example of a LinkedIn profile. So this is what she has put down. This is her professional titles. This is her left side of the screen. She calls herself a consultant. She is a mediator. She is an attorney. She is also a nonprofit manager. But the very first line of her summary says, I hitchhiked across the United States and Canada twice. That alone should make you say, wow. And she says, you won't find this on my resume, but every ride was a story and a lesson that wove its way into the fabric of my career. Do you not want to sit down and have a cup of coffee with her and talk to her about this? It is an amazing backstory. And as you read through the rest of her commentary on her LinkedIn profile, she talks about learning how to think in the future, how to strategize, how to deal with sometimes dicey situations, how the lessons of the road, the lessons of being alone in the wilderness essentially has informed her professional career as well. But she's fascinating. She is a fascinating person. And when you just casually meet people, you never realize the backstory. So it takes some time and it takes some energy and some perseverance to look at people in a slightly different way and to spend some time with them. Here's another one. Here's how she describes herself on LinkedIn. A director, IT project manager. She has an MBA, a PMP. The PROCI thing is a separate certification, and she is a human resource information systems guru as well. But here's part of her backstory. And I'll tell you that I first heard about a little smidgen of the backstory in a Toastmaster meeting, when her table topic was if you were able to correct one crisis in the world today, what is it that you would eliminate? And she said hunger. And she talked for a minute, and one of the things she said was that during one period of her childhood, they were very, food was scarce in her family. And if there was ever any extra food, it had to go to her brother, because in her country of birth, which was China, boys were valued more than females. And so it's like, wow, I'd like to learn more. So I sat down with her and said, tell me a little bit more about that. And the reason that situation happened to her was that she lived in China before, during, and after the Mao regime. And her father, who was a scientist, he was a physicist, I believe, the head of their science academy, served 8 years in a labor camp. They took a piano that they had, I think she said, on the 4th floor, and threw it out the window because you weren't allowed to have music. She, in spite of all of that, obviously, after the regime ended, her father was reunited with the family, went back to being a scientist, and she graduated summa cum laude from an American university. And her future here has been very, very positive, very secure. But what a tale, right? What an interesting tale. It's amazing the different people that you're going to meet who are thrown together in this sort of unusual way. One of the nice things about unemployment, one of the few benefits of unemployment, is that you are put into a space with people that you probably would never have encountered had it not been for the fact that you all lost your jobs. So you're meeting people from different parts of town, different industries, different socioeconomic levels, different everything. But the fact that we're all put together in this somewhat leaky boat of unemployment means that you have an opportunity to engage with people that you would never have encountered had it not been for this. So I challenge you to take advantage of that. And every single time, oh, that's your challenge. Every single time that you come to a networking meeting of any kind, I encourage you, I challenge you to meet at least 2 new people every time you come to a meeting. Sit in a different place when you come to a meeting. Don't just talk to the folks that you know. And then at least one of those people, get to know them better. Go for a coffee. Go to lunch after the meeting. Bring your lunch. When you come to a satellite class, those are smaller classes, and you get to know people a little bit better in those classes, whatever it is. But engage, relate, learn, share, get to know the richness of the people that are in these groups, because it will pay back 1,000,000 times. At the very least, you're going to meet interesting people, but at its apex, you might get business contacts, you might get information. We've had 3 couples meet and get married, talk about an apex of a relationship opportunity through Launchpad over the years. Oh, actually, 4 couples. I just thought of another one. We've had 4 couples meet and get married through Launchpad. So engage with people and see what you can do once you meet some of these people. See what you can do to not only benefit from that relationship, but also contribute to that relationship. What can you do to help and collaborate with them? But take advantage of it.